Çok çok teşekkür ediyorum. Hepinize merhaba. Yine bir öğleden sonra oturumu denk geldi. Umarım uyanık tutmayı başarırız. Siz yemek yedikten sonra biraz zor oluyor biliyorsunuz bu tip sunuları takip etmek. Ben öncelikle teşekkür etmek istiyorum sizlere, Kıvılcım Hanım'ın liderliğinde tüm PTMS ekibine. Digital Health Summit'te tekrar bir arada olmak çok güzel, bu sahnede olmak çok güzel. Çünkü bu işin doğuşundan beri işin içindeyim ve hani ilk toplantılardan bugüne kat ettiği yolu görüyorum Digital Health Summit'in ve müthiş bir noktadayız. 4. yılını kutluyoruz. Bir nevi bir çocuğun doğuşuna, bebeğin doğuşuna tanıklık edip sonra büyümesini görmek gibi. Çok keyifli burada olmak. Bana bu oturumla ilgili davet geldiğinde ya yıllardır beni dinliyorlar artık yeni bir şeyler, yeni birilerini görsünler. Hani ben izninizle çok kısa kalayım sahneye dedim ve globalden bir arkadaşımı davet ettim. Sağ olsun kırmadı geldi. Ben çok kısa bir girizgah yapacağım. Birkaç slide göstereceğim size. Sonra sahneyi arkadaşıma bırakacağım. Yıllar önce eğitimlerimize Pharma Goes Digital diye başlıyorduk biz. Bu arada ben kendimi tanıtmadım, kusura bakmayın. Doktor Burkay Adalığ, Elgiz Hanım'ın bahsettiği gibi GSK'da Ürolojide Medikal Direktör olarak çalışıyorum. Yıllardır dijitalin içindeyim. Şu anda da yaptığımız pek çok aktivite zaten dijitalin birebir içinde. Hobi olarak da multi-channel dijital ilgileniyorum. Meleklerinpayı.com diye bir web sitesini yönetiyorum. Dünyanın en çok ziyaret alan 7. viski kültürü web sitesi. Hani hiç alakamız yok Digital Health'le ama trafik açısından veya multi-channel işte Twitter'ın, Facebook'un, diğer sosyal medya şeylerin kullanılması konusunda sektör deneyimlerimi de kişisel hobime yansıtmaya çalışıyorum sürekli. Yıllar önce düzenlediğimiz ilk toplantılarda Pharma Goes Digital cümlesini çok kullanıyorduk. Yine yazdım Pharma Goes Digital'ı. Hemen altına da "Are we there yet?" demek istiyorum. Bu İngilizce bir kelime ve çok kullanılır Amerika'da. Çocuklar sürekli sorar ya arabada geldik mi, are we there yet, are we there yet? Ben birkaç slaytla onu sormak istiyorum. Are we there yet? Hayır, orada değiliz hala. Maalesef gelemiyoruz. Geride kalıyoruz pharma olarak dijitalde. Çoklu kanalı ben dijital ağırlıklı olarak sunmak istedim. Sizlere birkaç slide göstereceğim. Onlar da iki raporun sonuçları. 2014 ve 2015'te yayınlanmış iki rapor. Güzel raporlar. Genelde Amerika raporları dünyayı pek her zaman yansıtmayabilir. Türkiye'yi ya da işte içinde bulunduğumuz coğrafyayı. Ama bu rapor gerçekten hoşuma gitti. Oradan Amerika'yı çekin, işte herhangi bir ilaç firmasının adını koyun, herhangi bir ülkeyi koyun. Bence karşılıyor çünkü farmanın şu andaki resmini çok iyi çekmiş bir çalışma. 13 parametre üzerinden dijital yetkinliklerimizi değerlendirmişler farma şirketlerinin. Yukarıda gördüklerinizi tek tek saymayacağım ama önde görünenler, buzdağının üstünde kalan kısım. Hani hepimiz dijital deyince farmada yıllarca mail anladık, iPad anladık, işte yukarıda gördüklerimizi anladık ama bu işin bir asıl önemli olan buzdağının altta kalan kısmı var. Müşteri ilişkileri yönetimi gibi, deneyim yönetimi gibi, analitik gibi bize farklı sonuçlar verebilecek, bizi ileriye götürebilecek kısımlarda sahne arkası yetkinlikleri demişler. Orada bakın neredeyiz. İsimleri kapattım. Burada tartışmasına girmek istemiyorum. O firma iyi, bu firma kötü şeklinde. En iyi denen firmanın bile %60 küsurda olduğunu görüyorsunuz. GUD'a anca erişiyor. Sektör ortalamasına bakıyorsunuz. İşte fair'da duruyoruz hala. Burada pek çok sektörle karşılaştırma yapmışlar. Bu karikatür çok hoşuma gidiyor benim çünkü bizim de genel olarak olayımızı çok iyi anlatıyor. 5 senedir dijital diyoruz ama hala içerik var mı? Soru işareti. Kanalları birbirine bağlayabildik mi? Soru işareti. Analitik bize yeni bir strateji sunuyor mu? Soru işareti. Hani biraz böyle bir halimiz var. Modaya uyduk gidiyoruz halimiz var. Bu rapor kategorize etmiş sektörleri. Fashionistalar, diciratiler böyle eğlenceli isimleri de çok seviyor biliyorsunuz raporlar. Diciratiler tahmin edebileceğiniz gibi banka sektörü, finans, özellikle Türkiye'de mesela dijital denince aklımıza hemen bankacılık geliyor. Gerçekten çok hızlılar. Apple TV yeni versiyonunu çıkarıyor. Bir hafta sonra garantiden, Akbank'tan SMS geliyor. Biz Apple TV application'ımızı çıkarttık diye. İnanılmaz bir hızla çalışıyorlar. Bir de fashionistalar var. Ben beginner olarak görmüyorum kendimizi. Grafikte öyle gösterse de daha biraz fashionista görüyoruz. Fashionistada ne? Dijitali sürekli konuşan, dijital, everything goes digital falan deyip bunu bir türlü daha bir stratejiye oturtamamış, sıkıntılar yaşayan, daha tam olarak içselleştirememiş firmalar anlamına geliyor. Gördüğünüz gibi diğer işte özellikle bankacılık, telekom, yüksek teknoloji firmaları zaten beklendiği üzere diciratiler arasında sayılıyor. Yıllarca biz hep aynı şeyleri konuştuk. Regülasyonlar var, kanunlar var, her şeyi yapamıyoruz. İşte şirket, compliance, avukata takıldık, şu, bu, bilmem ne bahane. Her zaman bu tip slaytları 4 senedir gösteriyoruz. Benim de vardı. Her sene sıkıldım artık bu tip bir slayt bulmaktan. Ama bahane bulmakta üstümüze yok. Bütçe diyoruz, compliance diyoruz, regülatör diyoruz. Ama benim gözlemlediğim bütün farmaya baktığımızda bu son 5-6 yıllık serüvende kendi engelimizi kendimiz koyuyoruz aslında ve bu engel genellikle bir kural, bir guideline, bir regülasyon olmuyor. Bu şirket içindeki change management yani değişim yönetimi süreci oluyor. Değişim yönetiminin pek çok açılımı var. Girmek tabii hepsine mümkün değil çok kısıtlı zamanda ama şunu göstermek istiyorum çünkü bu formülü çok seviyorum ben ve bunu bütün firmalara şimdi kafanızda geçirin firmanızın genel durumunu ya da çalıştığınız yeri ya da birçok firmayı bir satıra oturtacaksınız. Hepimiz değişimin gerekliliğine inandık. Onda bir sıkıntı yok. Vizyon koyanlar var, koymayanlar var. Yetkinliklerini oturtanlar var, oturtamayanlar var ve en son aksiyon alınması kısmı. Şimdi bunlara bakın, bu formülden bir tanesini çektiğiniz zaman kötü bir sonuçla karşılaşıyoruz. Hepsinin ayrıntısına girmiyorum. Herkesin de İngilizce bildiğini tahmin ediyorum. Kusura bakmayın çevirmedim orijinal dataları da bozmamak için. Ama 3 ve 4'e özellikle dikkat çekiyorum. Çünkü şu anda genel olarak farmanın dijitalde böyle bir sıkıntı içinde olduğunu görüyorum. Ya vizyonsuzluk yüzünden koordinasyon eksikliği var, bölük pörçük aktiviteler yapılıyor. Ya da 3. stepte bir sıkıntı var, yetkinlikleri iyi değil insanların ve bu sonunda işte 20 tık alan web siteleri işte 3 kişinin izlediği webinarlar olarak bize geri dönüyor. Daha çok uzatmak istemiyorum ben ama bu cümle çok hoşuma gitti. Bununla bitirmek istedim ben. Bu raporlarla ilgili eğer ayrıntılı okumak isterseniz referansları zaten slaytlar sizle paylaşıldığında şey yapabilirsiniz, okuyabilirsiniz. DT Associates'ın raporları bunlar. Ben bu noktada çok da lafı uzatmadan arkadaşımı sahneye davet etmek istiyorum. Onun için İngilizceye dönüyorum. I'm now going to present Joe Thomas. He is one of my colleagues from the Center of Excellence, and he is the multi-channel lead for classic established products, which I'm also a part of. I'm in the urology, which is under classic established products in GSK, and he's come all the way. Thanks to him, he accepted our invitation to be with us today. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Çok teşekkürler.
Marhaba. That's way of saying hello, right? But thank you so much. It's been a nice privilege. Thank you to DHS Turkey. Thank you to Mrs. Kivilchem. Burkay, thank you especially for inviting me over here. It's been a privilege. I see excellent transformation. The last slide that Burkay was presenting in Turkey actually. Last 1.5 days of interactions actually covers my slides. There's nothing much for me to take through, and that's what I realized. So that's a fabulous amount of work. So to begin with, what I would like to state as a disclaimer is what you're seeing here as a presentation is all personal views. There's nothing of GlaxoSmithKline that you would see here. Right? Over the next 20 minutes, I would try and see how we could create an impact. The topic that we have and we're trying to cover here is how does multi-channel augment our efforts and we can create a real difference in patients' life. And for that, before we start, there's a small video clip, courtesy Pfizer, that we wanted to share with you. So this is exactly a meaning that we are trying to create with the use of multi-channel in our day-to-day lives. It's a very old clip. Probably that's the phase that we are all going to enter into. We have good, powerful medicines that could impact life, but it's how do we reach out to the patients and create a small difference that we could, right? So it's a small, powerful clip. Again, use of social media. Do you know what's the number of likes that it got? Number of visitors? Not much. 600, probably 1,000, visitors and viewers for this. But I think moving forward, this is probably the space that we would want to enter into. We want to create and touch lives. So before we go into the presentation, couple of key messages. There are some level playing field requirements. We all need to be on the same page. The first one is that in the pharma space, we clearly realize that anything in excess is toxic. Even our drugs, if given in excess, could create trouble. Same is the case with promotion. Same is the case with the way we work. So we are in a space that we are regulated very nicely. That's one grounding principle that we need to remember. And the second thing is, we are a healthcare company, right? So most of us operate for clear business and profit. The second thing and the third thing is, HCPs, like any one of us in this room, are tech savvy. Probably they use devices that would study us from the inside long back, much before we all could think of such devices. The sonography, even the similar or simple stethoscope, right? So it's not that they are not digital savvy, they are. So this is something that we need to have at the back of the mind. And moving forward, just understanding what is the scope for multi-channel. I think we should probably understand the word in the broad context. So you have some which are the traditional channels that we had. They still stay. They are options for us to engage doctors. There are some digital channels that are evolving. So what you're seeing over here, right, are those channels that we use in the promotional aspects, right? So we have e-detail aids, or we had the conventional paper detail aids. We also have banners which could be hosted on third-party channels, right? So I think I'm not going to take you through and bore you with examples of use, but we know that in terms of an impact, right, these channels which have been traditional pharma focused, we also had medical liaisons, and we used to have non-promotional activities done from the company to the medical teams. And then we also realized the HCP community themselves are engaging different channels, and probably that's where the maximum impact is. The use of guidelines, the use of congresses, the use of e-initiatives from their own end, right? They have journals which are available online. So there have been multiple digital channels that the doctors themselves have been using. And probably the most powerful and impactful way is still existing, hearing from a doctor, the key opinion leaders, hearing from the doctor. And on a digital front, you have probably comments on your product. You have key messages being shared every other day. And these are going to shape the way our brands are being prescribed and how we could impact lives in patients. So this is the traditional way of awareness, interest, trial, usage. So we would use promotional channels for the awareness part, but you would want advocates of your brand, which is where the social media would work. So in a nutshell, I think all of us have plenty of examples that we have used, and we are not going to get into this aspect. Moving forward, so in a constrained world where we can't use all the channels, right, how can we make an impact and add value to patients' life and people's lives? So we realized that Turkey's GDP, which is somewhere close to 800 billion, 5.6% of that is actually spent on healthcare expenses. So some public, some private, right? But we could make a difference by doing things better. And one aspect is managing the patients better, right? And ensuring that the treatment outcomes improve. We could free up some money. Apart from that, there could be some initiatives that could be done just to prevent diseases, right? So they say health is wealth, and that's where probably you could do something better. So in a nutshell, this is the framework that we all should look at. So we need not duplicate efforts and spend money into different channels, but instead we could look at how do we collectively apply multi-channel to see if we could do something to create a healthier nation. So I tried to see what could be the 3 levers that we could work on. And the 3 would be, try to use the source of information, or try to see if we can collectively improve outcomes. And lastly, can we take social action there? And all these can help us either prevent diseases or probably help better disease management. So I would want to then spend now time looking at, how do we look at source of information as a key lever. I think some of the sessions have happened yesterday. We heard Sartaj speak very nicely, talking about how the search and how a couple of other companies are disrupting digital ways. So looking at that, I wanted to dissect how the flow of information works. So we need to deconstruct and understand how it works. So when people search for, any disease, we see that there is enough of data that is being generated and captured in different search engines, right? So this is the latest search today morning when we checked what are the key health-related topics searched in Turkey. You find these. A couple of days back when I searched, there was stroke high above, but today we see cancer as a second and we see chickenpox. I just wanted to take chickenpox and explore a little bit, and we realized that there is a lot of data that is being generated in the last couple of days. I'm not sure. From the ePulse data that got shared today, do you see an inflection of chickenpox? But nonetheless, what you get is enough amount of data geographically telling which location these searches are happening. And I think as marketeers, as different agents of healthcare, we would have all this information. And probably you could get all insights and do a little bit more deep dive and get some insights on which you can act. People are working on these insights. So let's understand how people work, right? This information is available for patients too. And when you do a Google search, you find that there are a couple of areas, like for example, the paid search where you could place your ads, right? So for people who are searching for a specific disease, you have an option for branding there. There are free text, the searches that would come by natural. I'm sure we are working to optimize our pages and be higher up in the rank. And apart from it, Google gives also some indicators. In Turkey, probably some of these are existing. Right, and this is an example of diabetes mellitus for Turkey, but we don't see what leads people need to look at, but there could be some work that is being done. How could better use of this data be done? You find there are disease trends that is generated by different sources. Here you're seeing Google trend example, and what you're seeing is an example of sexually transmitted diseases, hotspots across Europe. Different people look at this data differently. A government would look at it from disease education, preventive. If you are working for a company that's manufacturing condoms, you're going to look at it differently. If you are in the space of having disease management drugs, you would look at that data differently. Do you have enough stocks and supply of your products there? Is enough promotional work being there? But you got amazing amount of information that is available today that you could take and act on. How are people acting on? There's some people are creating value. For example, you need to be visible, right? So for example, if people are thinking I'm mad, and I need to see a psychiatrist, probably you could search for a psychiatrist on Google Map. And you have all the information needed. We saw the example what Sartaj mentioned. You want that drug to reach me now. People are using Uber to ensure that the drug is delivered. Right? So that's the way people are starting to apply. And I'm sure each one of us in this room could look at ways and means of applying these insights that we have to reach patients and really create a value. Does it really make sense for us in the pharma space? We see that there is brand web pages being created. ComScore, which does a lot of analysis, and the president of it, John Mangao, did mention the importance of pharmaceutical website continues to be high. Our experience shows that regardless of how the condition sufferers get to the insight, the visit has a significant influence in those patients seeking treatment. So that's pure text. But in terms of data, you see when you have a branded site, and any patient who visits the branded site compared to those who didn't visit, there is an increased uptake of close to around 9.4% for patients when there is new starts. And for adherent patients, there is an increase seen to the extent of 14.7. Now, they dissected it further. For patients who surge naturally, right, the increase has been to the extent of 14.4%, 14.9. And when they are directed to the site directly, or when they come through a paid search, there is still a close to 10% impact that is seen. So it does make sense to have visibility and leverage various incidents or various activities that is happening in the digital space. Going forward now to the next aspect, that is looking at how do we improve treatment outcomes. And there's a lot of work being done over here as well, right? The key concerns that is there for the Turkish government and capture as lifestyle issues and challenges. You have got nutrition, obesity, smoking, de-addiction, and I also added aging population to that list. And because that seems to be a concern across the world. Governments are acting differently, and this was well covered today morning from the Ministry of Health presentation, the ePulse. So something similar is what the NHS or the UK government initiated, right? They wanted people to become more active, and they realized that 1 out of 4 patients takes less than 30 minutes to do a physical activity. So they tied up with an organization called as PUFL, something exactly or similar to what we all heard on ePulse today morning. They ensured that there was a lot of activity around on Puffle and created awareness. Somewhere close to 4,000 users registered in that 2 weeks of activity that they had in the beta phase. At least 54% of them tracked 2 or more activities. And then they did see an impact and an effect in terms of smoking cessation, for example, right? 4-week as well as 12-week quit rates, they did see some benefits. And I think that's probably the way to work. You want to create an impact, you may have to do something larger than life, tie up with the government or do something. Similarly, the question that is there is, if there is e-Pulse project, how can pharma companies, how can NGOs, how can people who need to manage health tie up with the government and do some real value for patients? Going forward, is there a room for improvement while treating too? Of course there is. What you're seeing is from Africa to United Kingdom, people are trying to leverage the digital channels. And what you're seeing here is in the sub-Saharan Africa, where there are 3 million deaths, they're trying to avoid 1 million deaths at least in 5 years' time. So there is at least a 30% impact or reduction in prenatal and maternal mortality thanks to use of a simple mobile phone to reach out to the HCPs. In Kenya, they increased the antiretroviral compliance by 11% by using digital tools. Similarly, in Mali, the response time to a malarial outbreak was reduced from close to a month's time from the government to less than 3 minutes. So that's the kind of impact the digital service is able to create. And I'm sure we could look at options to manage it differently as well. The National Health Society in different locations have also integrated something similar to the e-Pulse project, where connected cares to the hospitals have reduced at least 35% hospital admissions by monitoring the patients differently. There has been at least a reduction of 53% in emergency admissions thanks to the connected care. And lastly, the length of stay in the hospitals also have been reduced, thankfully, because patients are being monitored well. Does it get better? Of course, yes. In terms of recording, right, some examples have been seen with the help of telehealth and record-keeping models. There is less than 60% documentation being done, and there is also increase in consultation time. And most importantly, people who are managing these patients are able to spend more time interacting with the patients, and they're seeing double the number of patients. So there is a great amount of benefits being seen, right? And for us in the pharma space and other space, we talk about apps, right? There are close to 1 million apps that have been developed, right? And as going forward, most of them seem to be in the space of consumer fitness. Some of them are related to, I'm in excess of time, or I got 5 minutes?
You have only just 5 minutes.
Great, thank you so much. Right. So in terms of the apps, the world population is somewhere close to 7 billion. 3.5 of them by 2017 will have an app. And probably by half of them will also have a health app. Any guesses how many of them happen to be a pharma app? The top leading pharma companies have developed somewhere close to 500 different apps and have been marketing that. Most of the apps that are created are in the fitness space, but there are very few of them, close to 1 million of them, which are in the space of medical examination. Right? And when people dissect and study the apps a little bit more, you see interesting evidence that is coming out. Not all the apps that are created are very complete, right? So what you see is an evaluation of the diabetes-related apps. 62% of them help patients manage medication. 60% of them help export the data. There is diet recording happening in 47%, weight management in 43%. What's missing? What's missing is actually the patients need to know a little bit more about the disease. They need to be updated about various facts, right? So these apps that have been developed, not most of them are complete, and that gives room for some development. Somebody needs to regulate and say which apps can be actually used. Like the drugs, they need to be tested. They're creating an impact for patients, right? So probably way forward would be having an app that is validated, tested, right? Integrated into a lot of data points that is being generated. And lastly, also helps patients, change behaviors. So overall, that's how the app space is going to develop. We again yesterday heard in the last session on wearables, the mobile health scenario is changing. Apps can be integrated into various devices. There are plenty of devices, and all parts of a body can be completely, tracked. There are people who test, and document even, in fact, the urine test results as well, not just the heartbeat or the blood pressure. Right? You got, glucose monitoring that could be done through contact lens. We did see somebody come back and show a Google Glass in a different way, right? So there's amazing work being done. And what we see is people are documenting and studying how things could be done better in these three spaces: remote monitoring, integration of data, and behavior modification. So you got people monitoring, heart failure through implanted devices, testing arrhythmias out. 500 or 600 patients are being tested out on these wearables. There is a lot of work being done on glucose monitoring, asthma and COPD monitoring. There are also efforts being done to see how we can have, doctor on demand through virtual modes. And lastly, we are already seeing the fitness space very nicely. So there are projects being done, and we hopefully will see a lot of impact there. The last bit, which is about social action. 1 out of 3 patients, 3 people are actually using digital for actually, communicating on the social media. It could be through Facebook, YouTube, blogs, whatever. And what are they speaking about? Supporting a healthcare cause, to also posting review of medication and facts about doctors and treatment. Now, the question that's lying in front of us is, how do we use that data and create something out of it? I think we need to be extra smart there, right? But we still could use it in 3 different ways. One is use that to listen, get insights, right? There's amazing amount of data that is being generated every other day. We just need to see how we can understand what's being spoken about and understand what are the inflection points. How can we use that to engage the doctors? Proactively, you could have blogs and articles written out which could help you lead, a proper direction for healthcare, not just, allow people, like we heard the debate between, the journalists yesterday, right? But you could proactively do something there by engaging patients in different ways. And lastly, measure. Understand how the brand is progressing, what's being spoken about, and what's the brand, chatter all about, and monitor that. So that's 3 different ways that I think we could use the social media to drive some action out of it. Overall, what we're seeing is in the MCM space, there are plenty of things being done, right? So you got pharma brand websites, you got apps being developed, and I think going forward, the challenge would be is like, when you do a search, where are we with respect to what's happening in the health space? I don't think even the top 50 searches leads to any of the digital channels from a pharma company, right, being reflected there. And I don't think that's ever going to change, but probably we could come higher up the ladder. And I think that's where, all the big data that is coming in and all the big integration that's happening, right, and the refinement and the metamorphosis that Burkay was just mentioning about will all help us transform and add value to patients. So going on, the last final slide is the corollary, right? Of course, they say anything is excess is toxic, but most important, what you need to know is we still need a minimum effective dose. We can't be sitting on the fence and allowing people to do activity, right? In the pharma world, if we need to create an impact, we need to actually have something that adds meaning and value to people. Second is, we have enough promotional policies that says that whatever the pharma company does is still ethical. It doesn't mean we're there only for business, but we will try and do something meaningful for people. And lastly, never forget that the HCPs, even if they are technical and digital savvy, will do anything to put the patient's life at risk. And that's what, is the reason why probably, we're slowly transforming. We need data and evidence to make that change. Right? I think hopefully we'll be able to create a difference, add value to patients' life. And with that, I think I wish everyone all the best, and look forward to a much better transformation probably the next time we hear in the Digital Health Summit how there's been a change on the health front. Thank you.
Joe Thomas'a çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Şimdi biz 2012'den 2015'e kadar geçen süreç içerisinde DHS'de bir aile olduğumuzdan bahsetmiştik. O yüzden aile üyeleri böyle aramıza yeni katılanlara daha fazla söz hakkı vermek istiyor. Burkay Bey o yüzden çok kısacık bir sunum yaptı ama biz ona doyamadık. Ben kendisini tekrar sahneye davet etmek istiyorum. Burkay Bey'e küçük bir sürprizimiz var çünkü. Kıvılcım Hanım sahnedeyse, salondaysa onu da davet etmek istiyorum.
Çok çok teşekkür ediyorum. Ben ilk defa böyle insanların önünde bir şey üflüyorum, mum üflüyorum. İnşallah evet. Diledim daha her sene Digital Health Summit'ler yapmak. 3 gün, 4 gün, bir hafta Digital Health Summit'ler yaşayalım birlikte. Çok çok teşekkürler. Sağ olun.